3, 2, 1. Tres, dos, uno. And what's up, everybody? What's up? Good evening. As I adjust everything here, just got everything getting settled here. Hopefully, you're doing great. It's good to be back. Trying to get settled here. This is the first time in a while that I've streamed, and I'll tell you a little bit about that in a second. But just wanted to say hello. If you're tuning in right now live, if you are connecting, I appreciate you. Thank you for joining. It's the first stream in about a month and a half. I think the last time we did this stream was about a month and a half, and we were, talking about just the market. I don't think we would be. We were expecting kind of the bunch of things, or the incredible amount of crazy news that has happened over the last 4 weeks, and just what's going on in the market, which I'll touch upon in a couple of minutes. But first and foremost, just wanted to say hello. Just wanted to give you a quick update on this channel, on just myself, and kind of what's going on. If you've been following for a while, and I appreciate you dearly, if you've been following just my X account, Twitter, or also the YouTube channel, I appreciate you sticking around. I've been shifting a little bit on what I'm doing. Still creating crypto videos, but less shilling, a lot more just meaningful content. I think that I needed to do a little bit of a calibration of my channel. And I think my YouTube channel is looking a lot better. I'm still trying to figure out kind of what I want to do, but I'm really focusing on just investing, not advice, but investing, the investing journey and some of the things that investors have to go through. And I'm really focusing on creating content that's going to be useful for newer investors and middle of the road investors. Maybe if you're experienced, if you're a very experienced investor, you're probably not going to like what I'm putting out there in terms of content. That's fine. I'm not creating it for you guys, but in essence, what I'm trying to do is just create videos that are going to be helpful for those that are coming into the crypto market. And right now it's probably rough because not a lot of people are coming in, because of how things are looking and the way things are going in the market. However, I do believe that there's greener pastures in the future, and I think we're going to see some good things happen in the future. But for now, I think we could just expect a little bit more of the same, and I'll talk a little bit about some of the things that I'm seeing. Again, this is Beto on Base, Crypto Market Monday Night Live. I used to be in sports, so I like Monday Night Live, right? I think it's a thing. So we're going to be doing this every Monday evening just to get ready for the rest of the week. Obviously, Monday's a really important day in the markets because a lot of things get going on Mondays. However, I think after the dust settles from the initial, starting gun of the market, especially in the stocks and other assets, but in terms of crypto, obviously we know it's always 24/7. But a lot of things change, right, on Monday mornings when all the other markets open. And just want to do a Monday evening stream for you guys. I really enjoy these streams. I appreciate, the connections with those viewers. And if you're out there, leave me a comment just to say hello. But yeah, no, this is coming back. We're going to be streaming, and obviously right now the market's down, but there's still a lot of stuff going on. I think there's still a lot to talk about, whether you're aggressively, loading up on those projects that are lower in terms of the market cap or just the price right there at the bottom, which I'll touch on a couple right now in a little bit. But whatever your strategy is, I think right now it's just a very interesting time in the market. And one of the things that I've been talking about in some of the videos and things that I've just learned over time is that, this is right now we're just going through the test, right? And a lot of us are going through the test. A lot of our portfolios are down from even just a month ago. And I think that's just part of the journey, right? It's part of the journey. Right now is the test. I certainly have felt the need or the urge to liquidate some of my holdings because like a lot of people are doing, you exit and you hold in stable coins, and then eventually you come buy back in. But at the same time, a lot of the projects, just to give you a little perspective as to how I invest, a lot of the projects that I have, I bought really low at the bottom, so I haven't really been down too much. It's just like the huge swings that you've seen over the last month and a half it's been insane. The year started off hot. If you remember, January, the first week of January was insane, and we were doing great. The whole market was doing great. Eventually, just things went south, and I'll talk about those things in a minute. Just want to say hello to Carl. What's up, Carl? Thank you for joining, man. I appreciate you. Thanks for the comment. Again, it's a really challenging market, but there's and I was listening to our friends at the Shib on Base community. They were doing their weekly VC, and Armando is doing great TA as always. But they were saying, there's always opportunities. I agree. There's always opportunities. I'll talk about one opportunity, and I think Freeman mentioned it earlier. Finance Freeman mentioned it just recently, and that it crossed my mind. I'm there's an area of investing that I still yet to tap into, and that's puts and longs and that sort of stuff, and I'll eventually get into it. Most of you know that I'm an investor. I just accumulate, try to buy at the bottom and then sell high. That's my thing. I have a full-time job, so it's pretty difficult to keep 100% with the market. However, you know what? That's how the market goes. Shout out to John. How you doing, John? Good to see you here. John's always been around. I appreciate you, John, for showing up, and appreciate you for always supporting not only the channel but everything that is going on around Beto on Base. But yeah, man, it's an interesting market. What I want to do today is just go into just a couple of charts. I'm not going to do any crazy TA for you guys. I'm just going to check out a little bit of what's going on in the general sense of the market, some of the news. I'm going to check out oil for you, so you can check out that graph. Is insane. The chart for oil is pretty crazy. There's a couple of other charts that I want to show you. I want to show you the Shib on Base chart. I want to show you the base projects, kind of what's cracking with the top 10 and so on and so forth, the fear and greed index and that sort of stuff. And then I just want to talk a little bit about kind of where this channel is going and some of the things that have been going on. But just want to shout out some more folks showing up. Pauline LLC, what is up? Awesome. Pauline is doing great, by the way. Ben, good to see you, brother. Armando, shout out to Armando. Good to see you, man. Great VC earlier today. Definitely agree with some of the stuff that you guys were talking about in terms of opportunities. There's always opportunities in the market. And then obviously, yeah, shout out Pauline. Man, Pauline, if you don't know about Pauline, I'll talk about Pauline in a little bit. I'm going to check out the chart for you guys, just to, some of that. But just wanna say shout out to everybody joining. I appreciate you guys. I'm back again, like I said. And Nick is an OG. Love Nick, man. Good to see you here, Nick. It means a lot for you to be joining. One of the OGs. And shout out also to the BTCB community, the Shib on Base community, just all the base projects out there. Sarah as well. Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate you as always. Sarah's also one of the OGs. So anyway, I want to get into just some of the things that I want to cover on today. It'd probably be like a 45 minute stream for you guys, just to kind of get back in the thick of things and kind of just get back into what we're getting into. But anyway, like I was saying, it's been a pretty challenging market for a lot of us, for almost everybody, really. Actually, for everybody, it's been a pretty crazy market. And I do want to touch, just take a look at Bitcoin, and I'm going to give you TA, but I want to tell you kind of what I see and what's going on, and just some of the things that I'm seeing in terms of the macros. And this is how I'm looking at Bitcoin. And obviously right now, just to give you a little bit of my my strategy right now, I'm really taking it easy, right? However, and I'll give you two aspects of my my strategy right now, and this is what I'm doing right now. A lot of what I'm doing right now is just holding. And watching the market and making sure that I'm looking at everything that's going on. Obviously keeping an eye on Bitcoin. As Bitcoin goes, the market goes, so everything else gets pulled by Bitcoin. And in many ways, I'm still just really uncertain about Bitcoin, and it's really mostly because of what's going on externally in the world, and the whole war that's going on in the Middle East, and just a lot of the things that I'm seeing in the economy. I am 40-60%, I think 40% bullish, and 60% I think that the market's still going to head south for some time. And I wouldn't be surprised if Bitcoin does maybe well for a couple of weeks, but then it pulls down all the way down, maybe even into the $50,000 range, $50-something thousand range. This is just like from what I see in my perspective. Obviously, I'm not a guru. I'm not an expert in TA, but I think that could happen, and that would probably be the bottom where we would start seeing a shift in the general market. But that's just one of the things that I think we need to keep an eye out. Right now, the market is still extremely, extremely uncertain. It's one of those things where you start seeing maybe some green or maybe some light at the end of the tunnel, and then some other conflict happens. Right? I think this year, like I was saying, started. Um, very green. Like the first week of January, we were all like, wow, this is amazing. We're all going to pump because we had like a very rough quarter, Q4 of 2025, if you remember. Everybody was hyped up on a possible blow off top, and just a possible, um, crazy, peak at Q4, but it never happened, right? I think that's one of the things that we were waiting for, and it was just a challenging Q4. But then January came, and we started great out of the gates, amazing the first week. But then again, then things started to head south. We had Venezuela, we had a whole bunch of stuff going on. Now we have Iran, and I'm not going to get into geopolitics, but like we were talking, like I was saying earlier, there's Armando was saying, just not stealing phrases, but just kind of corroborating and just mentioning the same thing. There's opportunities everywhere right now. So my strategy right now, a lot of it is holding steady. But the second part of me, I think I'm getting ready to go into the next phase of my strategy, which is really accumulate a little bit more as we start getting into what I hope is the bottom of the market, but also start, kind of saving a little bit so that I can go really strong and go in on certain projects. I think, I'll just leave it up in the air. I'm not going to tell you which ones, but I'm looking at certain projects that I think are going to bottom, and then I'm going to go heavy on those and then just hold, for the future. That's kind of where I'm at right now. I think a lot of the last 3 weeks, I've been just holding and steady and looking at things. I haven't even touched my wallet. I don't even see it. I see it every once in a while. And man, you look, I made a video about this. I'm down huge from, 6 weeks ago. It's a huge percentage down, and it's really hard to see that, right? The market pulls on your emotions. It's a challenging time, but at the same time, I know that that's always gonna, has a potential or high likelihood of, coming back and gaining all that back and really going forward and going extra. So anyway, Bitcoin's at 69K, close to 70. We'll see where it goes this week. ETH is also Ethereum. Just to show you real quick, Ethereum looks like it's finding a little bit of a bottom there, but still way below the 50-day moving average. Still doing all right. It's at 2018. So holding steady, right? Holding steady above 2000. It's incredible for me to see that when we were at almost 5K. What was it, in August of last year? And then we just went down incredibly timely, with everybody saying that ETH was going to go 10K and Bitcoin. That's usually how it goes. So one of the things that I've noticed, and if you've noticed as well, pay attention to that. When everybody's calling for those type of numbers, just expect the opposite to happen. I think it's almost like an orchestrated and planned shill from the bigger people that are bigger holders, right? The big institutions, they like to shill and say that numbers are going to go crazy, and then they'll dump on you. I think that's definitely one of the things that I've noticed, but it's just my perspective. Let me know if you see that as well in the comments, if that's something that you also think that might happen, right? That the big names, we saw a lot of big names saying that ETH was going to go to 10K to buy, and then we see the big dumps. I'm almost certain that that's kind of what's going on, right? Because think about it this way: if you're holding a token and you want to sell, you're not going to say I'm going to sell, right? You're going to say, it's going to the moon, it's going to 1 billion market cap, and then everybody's hyped up and buying, and then that's when you sell. So I think that's what's going on. I think that's maybe some of the things that you want to keep an eye out in terms of the market. But anyway, ETH is at 2000, not too great, not too horrible. Obviously it's been lower. Let's see what's the most recent low was in 1400, April of 25. Yeah, that was pretty low. I remember that. That was pretty, not scary, but it's one of those times. I think 1400, 1500, it's probably the most the biggest drop that it could have. But I think ETH's holding steady right there. We'll see if it goes lower. But anyway, I want to show you oil, and you can go to many charts. I chose the United States U.S. oil fund tied to the dollar. Um, just look at that. Look at that parabolic move, right? And this is obviously, look. I don't know. I don't want to draw in this one, but this is obviously the last few days with what's going on with the war. It's incredible, kind of what's going on. If you were, invested in oil, but look at how it even started moving upwards before, and I think that's speculation from folks, right? A lot of speculation about possible wars. Let's see. This is probably Venezuela around here, so I think a lot of that has to do with that as well. But look at the huge move that we got here from this war, right? This is the daily chart on United States Oil Fund LP, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's like a week. In a week, it just went from $80 to 116, so a huge pump. And Finance Freeman, shout out to Finance Freeman. He does great analysis. I love his live streams. I'm not able to do the whole live stream, but I pop in and out and love his clips. And he was saying that, I think he posted, oil. If you short oil right now, if you know how to do that, not saying that you should do that. I'm not saying this is not financial advice, but if folks are shorting oil right now, it's probably a good move. I don't know how much higher it might go. I think depends on the war, right? Depends on how prolonged the conflict is. But I definitely believe that there's an opportunity there if your shorts and certain stuff like that. I think there's definitely something there. I'm looking into it. That's something, but I still have to get into that a little bit more. And full disclosure, I'm not as savvy for shorting stocks or shorting projects or anything like that. But I'll learn. I'll get there little by little, and that's why we're all here, right? That's why we're here, learning and getting better at the markets and enhancing our portfolio, which is why we're all here. But anyway, oil's crazy, and I think that, let me give you just my 2 cents in terms of the geopolitics. I'm obviously not an expert, and it's funny how everybody gets once they're it was first like Venezuela. Everybody was an expert in Venezuela. Something happens elsewhere, everybody's an expert. I'm definitely not an expert, but I can give you my 2 cents and just something that I see, and I think it's what's going on. It's like, I think the rest of the world was really trying to choke the U.S. and really trying to hurt the U.S. dollar. And if you saw, and I live by the border, if you don't know, and there's a bunch of like money exchange shops where I live, and I drive by them anyway. And you see the dollar, right? It's 16 pesos for a dollar, 17 pesos. That's kind of how it's been. It was as far as 16 pesos. That was really low. That's one of the lowest points in many years that I've seen. And now it's at 18, around 18, or heading up there. And I think that in the things, the rest of the world was just trying to impact the dollar and the strength of the dollar. And now with what's going on right now, I think the U.S. kind of got pissed off. And that's what we're seeing right now. Kind of like, oh yeah, you want to mess around with the dollar, and now that's what's going on, right? We'll first grab Venezuela because there's a bunch of oil there, and then we'll secure our oil. Then we'll go after Iran and kind of mess it up so that China gets all screwed up, and other countries and the EU. And anyway, that's kind of what I see it's going on. Obviously, it's a very simplified way of saying it. But I think that's what's going on. Regardless, I hope the conflict is not it's not a long conflict. I think in the end, a lot of people are hurting. If you think about it, a lot of people are dead now. A lot of people. So anyway, there's nothing good that comes, I guess, from. I'm just gonna say it like that. Nothing good that comes from war, right? Maybe in the future we'll see, but definitely something that I'm keeping an eye out. Hopefully it's a short conflict. So I think that would make things a lot better. And not only for the market, not only for us, but just for a lot of people, and maybe things settle. But we'll see where it goes. We'll see. But definitely take a look at oil. Just keep an eye on it. Even just if you're learning, right? You don't have to make any trades or short it or do anything really. I just recommend you check out those charts and just keep an eye on it. Also, keep an eye on the dollar, keep an eye on Bitcoin, keep an eye on the stock market. Just, I think when you just keep an eye on things, you learn. You start learning, you start seeing patterns. You kind of now understand when there's a big shift in the news or something in the news cycle, and then start seeing changes in the market. Uh, it really helps you just understand. And in the end, I think the biggest thing that you gain from really understanding how things move in the markets is that it really doesn't affect you emotionally as much anymore as it would have if you didn't know kind of what was going on, right? I always say, try to stay as involved or as informed, and I think that's definitely going to give you a good understanding of the markets. Hey, yo, shout out to Gabriel. That's my brother right there. Good to see you, Gabriel. Shout out to Eastlake in Chula Vista, down here in San Diego. Good to see you, Gabriel. Thanks for the shout out. Thanks for everybody for joining, by the way. This is the most folks that have joined. I appreciate you guys. So anyway, let's continue talking about kind of the market, kind of what things are going. Let's take a look at just the general sense, the general market and how it's going. The total market cap for crypto right now, it's at 2.36, so it's gone up a little bit. And this is one of the things that I think I've been keeping an eye out. I think that's one of the bigger things you can check, just kind of where market cap is, because there's a lot of red in the market. There's a lot of selling. However, I think there's a lot of big inflows. A lot of institutions are loading up. And that's usually what happens, right? When there's blood in the market, when there's fear in the market, there's institutions, there's people that are loading up, because that's when to buy, right? You want to buy low. And so look at the crypto market cap. Let me give you just like a bigger view of it. We're at 2.36 trillion. We're just above maybe 55% from the top, which was just a few months ago. This was the top. Let's see. Well, actually, it was March of 26. No, I'm looking at. Let me do the all-time. All-time is $4.2 trillion in market cap for crypto, and this was in October 5th of 2025. So 5 days before that huge liquidation dump. Remember what happened on the 10th of October last year? It was just insanely crazy how everything just crashed. The top was right before that. So crypto was at 4.2 trillion. Right now we're at 2.3. So just about $2 trillion have left the market since October. Just think about that. $2 trillion have gone away from crypto in about, 5-6 months. That's insane. So that's why you're seeing what you're seeing in the market. And that's why you're seeing crypto just just dumping, and that's what it is. And a lot of people selling Bitcoin, a lot of stuff going on, but that's a lot of money, man. That's an insane amount of money that's just left crypto in a matter of months, and really a lot of it was during that big dump in October. A lot of it also in December, because remember December was red. It was extremely red. And then, just recently with the crisis in the Middle East and that stuff going on, I think it's still gonna continue to bleed a little bit. Let's see, the low market cap was 800 billion. This was way down back in 2022. So I think we're gonna see some sideways action here, maybe for the next few months. We'll see where it goes. But the fear and greed index, good news, it's up a little bit from 23. I think. About last month, it was around 5 or 6, which is insane. That was something that was pretty interesting. It looks like it's moving up, but I think it's almost doing like a bear flag. If you see you probably can't see it in your screen, but anyway, it's the fear and greed index is down. It's a little bit higher than what it was, but because I think, let's see, the lowest point was the 4th of February, so about a month ago, a little bit over a month ago. We were at 11. That's crazy, man. I think it was lower than that. I think it was single digits. I remember seeing 5 or something. Oh yeah, 5. February 5th. So it was 2026, February 5th. It was 5. Extreme fear. And so that's crazy. Like, we had greed at 76 in May of last year. So anyway, last two tops for the fear and greed index were let's see, March of 24. I remember that March in 24, and then November of 24 as well. So if you remember that, we had two great peaks in the market. Base was just buzzing. A bunch of projects, just a lot of commotion in on the based ecosystem and also other ecosystems. But mostly I was around base in 2024, and that was pretty insane. So we're waiting for that again, right? We've been seeing a steady decline in the fear and greed index. Altcoin season still not there yet, but we might be getting close. It could be. We're at 36 out of 100. That's the first time I've seen it, higher in a long time. So it's in September 19th of 25. So last year, it's at altcoin season was at 78, which I don't remember that. Let's see. Anyway, yeah, altcoin season's still up in the air. We'll see when that happens. Hopefully, it's sometime soon. I think that would bring a lot of relief to a lot of folks, a lot of you guys, a lot of the investors that are in our network. I think that'd be great if we could have an alt season that we haven't had in forever. So we'll see where that happens. But alt season it's right there. So let's check real quick at Bitcoin dominance. I won't get too much into it, but just want to show you kind of what's going on. It's at 58%. So it's kind of higher a little bit again. So moving up a little bit. Ethereum's at 10% in terms of dominance, but yeah, let's keep an eye on that one as well. And then let's jump onto the base projects. I think some of you or most of you are also interested in base projects. We got the chart's always moving. SHIB on base, we got SHIB on base at around 15 at a $2.7 million market cap. Then we got Mr. Miggles right above. And we got a bunch of projects that are all bunched up between 2, 3, 4, 5 mil. And but at the top, as always, it's Toshi or Brett. Usually they're flip-flopping in terms of a market cap. But Toshi, and I've always thought Toshi was probably the best pick in terms of the older tokens on the base chain. It's at $88 million market cap, which is insane if you think about it. It was that's been up in. Has Toshi been close to $1 billion? I think it's been up there, but I don't think it's reached $1 billion like Brett did. Let's see, it was up at 112 mil. Let's see, max. So the highest that Toshi did was oh yeah, well that's volume. Highest that Toshi did was, let's see, that was volume. Let me see market cap. Yeah, market cap. Here we go. 600 mil. So Toshi still has never touched a bill. $1 billion. So, Toshi's down, but these projects are just down an insane amount. That's 600 mil. Do the math to 88. That's the price right now, or the market cap. Let me show you Brett. And if I used to hold Brett, I don't hold Brett anymore. Is anybody out there holding Brett? Do you guys hold Brett? I don't know why why anybody would, unless you're holding a bag. But look at, I guess there's upside, right? Because at the bottom, we're really at the bottom for Brett. I think that's safe to say. Let me see if you can see. Oh, you can't see it. So let me move this for you so I can see the kind of Brett and where Brett's going. There we go. I'm gonna move it for you. But anyway. Brett's high was let's see, like over $2 billion, like 1 point something mil, actually. Yeah, $2 billion market cap back in November of 24 when we had that peak in the market as well. So since then, now it's at $70 million market cap, and it's really just at the bottom, to be honest. That's insane. There's a 7 mil market cap at the beginning. But right now we're at 68 mil, and wow, it's an insane drop. And if you're holding Brett, let me know why you're holding Brett. Holding Toshi, Carl, thanks, man. Thanks for letting me know. Like I said, I think I like Toshi, man. I think Toshi, I think it doesn't have the drama that Brett has. It doesn't have, some of that, like the little black cloud on top of Brett, I think. And this is just my perception. Obviously, everybody's entitled to their opinion, but I would definitely hold Toshi if I was looking for another like blue chip on the base chain. But to be honest, I'm this is my strategy at this point is really going for projects that are, that have the potential of really multiplying and doing multiple X's when all hell breaks loose in terms of a bull market. And I'll be holding those projects because I think they're solid projects as well, right? And I think the first one that I hold, and I've shared it, and this is not a shill, is just to give you my perspective, is SHIB on base, just because of the utility that it has and just everything that I've seen from it. It's been great, right? This is at a $2.7 million market cap, 2.7 mil. It's been as high as 8.5. That's the all-time high, and it continues to grow even though it's right now the market's rough. But look at the steady climb. It's slow, but it's moving in the right direction, right? It's moving in the right direction, and I think that that's all you can ask for a project in this type of environment. The environment's just really tough, especially meme coins, even meme coins with utility. There's a challenge, right? There's a huge challenge for everybody right now. I'm close to the Blue project. That's a very young meme. It pumped up to like $80,000 market cap, and now it's back to $11,000 market cap. It's just the market. I think liquidity is just rotating from one project to another. And look, to be honest, I don't think that we'll see the types of bull markets that we've seen in the past, just because of the amount of projects out there and the amount of projects that are ready to launch. I know for sure that there are projects out there that are just waiting for the right type of market to launch their product, to launch their token, their coin, whatever it is that they're launching. And that just it makes it difficult, right? If you're an investor and have a limited amount of funds, where do you put your money, right? When there's so many projects out there. And I think that's a part of the strategy that I think everybody needs to have, is really just to focus on a few, depending on your portfolio, right? You don't want to have 50 projects and all of them are like $20, right? I think that's just my opinion, because even if one of them does 100x, that's 2,000, right? It's not a huge amount of money. It might help for rent for 1 month, especially in the US. Not even then, but you want to kind of consolidate your funds into a few projects that you think are going to do well. So one of the ones that I hold and that I really like is obviously SHIB on base, just because of everything that's been going on with the project. And the Pauline app, it's up and running. Every day there's more subscribers. Here and there, people are using it. It's a great app, and I think it's only a matter of time before more people start adopting the AI app, and then even more people are going to start coming in to invest in this project. So anyway, for now, $2.7 million market cap for SHIB on base, holding steady. We had a recent high was 6.7 back in about a month ago, or less than a month ago, and then we've retraced back down to this trend line that you see there, the white trend line. So let me see if you're actually seeing this. Yep, you can see it, so it's good. So let me now jump on to Bitcoin on base, which is another one of my projects that I see, and I think that again, it's one of those that I feel fine, feel good about holding. Also hold like the sister or the twin token on virtuals, Bitcoin on virtuals. But this one, this is one that it has utility, right? They're mining Bitcoin. It's mining Bitcoin. It's at $1.4 million market cap, and it's this one moves fast. Whenever it moves really fast. So I can only imagine what it's going to do when the true bull market hits. So there's another one. Like again, I can show you many more, but this is just an example of an opportunity, right? An opportunity in this market. Because if you were looking at this. Maybe around this point, let me give you just a point. Maybe you're looking at this project maybe up here, or maybe even up here, right? You were looking at it and you're like, I don't know if I should get in. Well, now it's the time, right? We're at the bottom. This is very clearly at the bottom, and this is not the only project that's at the bottom. This is just one of many projects, because of market conditions, that is at a bottom. Look at how clear that bottom is for this one. And you can say that about Brett as well. So I wouldn't, say that Brett's, not a bad move, because if it moves up even, 5x, or even 2x, and you caught the bottom, it's great. But that's what we that's that saying about opportunity, right? It's right there, and there's many opportunities still in the market. Um, Obviously, you have to have the dry powder to shoot. Otherwise, you're not being able to really take advantage of these opportunities. But look at how clear this bottom is for Bitcoin on base. Let me draw a little bit of line here for you. That's kind of what's going on, right? It's kind of what's going on. It broke, this, and this is obviously short term, but it broke that kind of like a trend line, just a rough trend line like that. We'll see where it goes. Maybe it'll start going up. It just depends on the market, really. But Bitcoin on base moves really, really fast whenever it starts moving. So it's one of the ones that I keep an eye on. Obviously, a hold, but we'll see where it goes. And I think it all has to do, obviously, with the market. And like I said, just depending on where the war goes and all that, and how that goes, and how short or long it is. It's that's something that we need to keep an eye out. So what do you think of WB? Which one is Coinbase? Would that be Coinbase wrap Bitcoin? Yeah, Coinbase wrap Bitcoin. I assume. Let's see. CBBTC. Let's see what it's doing. I think that's what I call. And I think, I would probably, that's one of the things I kind of want to buy Coinbase wrap Bitcoin, but I just want to hold, real Bitcoin. I think we do get, if you're holding Bitcoin on base, you'll get your airdrops, right? You'll get your airdrops on Coinbase wrap Bitcoin. Actually coming soon. So it's January, February, March. I think April is our next drop. So we'll see where that goes, and we'll see how that goes. But anyway, whether you're doing, I see what kind of, this is a new one, 6.23 bill market cap, Coinbase wrap Bitcoin. All right, interesting. So yeah, that's something to look for. But I think if I'm going to buy Bitcoin, I would just buy it in self custody, right? That's just my recommendation. Don't buy anything on like the Coinbase app. I have some Coinbase wrap Bitcoin, right? The one that I've been airdropped from Bitcoin. But anyway, there's a good also a good one to take a look at. Let me take a couple of seconds again to thank you guys for joining. But I was mentioning at the beginning of this stream, kind of the direction that this channel is going, the YouTube channel, and hopefully soon I'm gonna set things up so that I can stream simultaneously on X and on YouTube, because I think that's a cool thing, right? You want to do that. But the direction this YouTube channel is going, you can probably see it. It's a little bit more psychology of the market and just lessons that I've learned, and really it's directed to newer investors or middle of the road investors. This is really just to get you thinking, right? Get you thinking about the market and making positive choices and making good choices. I'm not providing any advice. But one of the latest videos that I talked about was the three things that this market has showed me over the last just 4 weeks or even more. And I think that three things, I'll go through those three things that I've learned, kind of share it with you guys, and then just call it a night. But the first one is that the way you position your investments and the way you position your funds is going to determine how big of a hit you take in the market. That's something that I definitely learned this time, and not that I regret anything. I haven't lost really anything, because you don't really lose until you sell. I really haven't sold any of my projects because I know, and I have big conviction in these. But just how you decide to allocate your funding and your funds, it's really going to determine how big of a hit you take in terms of the market, right? So if you are just heavily leveraged, or just have a huge position in a very risky asset, obviously it's going to hurt when it goes down. But I think that it's really important to really understand that if you understand your positions and the risk, right? If you know that this is a high risk play, I think you are accountable for your own investments. So if you're accountable for your own investments, if your project goes down 80%, you're still holding it, and it's gonna hurt, but it's not gonna hurt as bad if you really understand kind of what you're holding. So anyway, positions are super important. That's one of the things that I've learned. Another one is that whether you're an experienced investor, a middle of the pack investor, or starting a beginner investor, you're gonna get your emotions messed with, right? The market is ruthless. It'll tug your emotions when you see those big dumps, that big, the chaos and people fleeing the market, people the sell off and the big red candles and everything going on, and you're seeing those percentages go down and down, or the red percentage go up and up and up. That's going to play with your emotions. But think about it this way as well. When the green candles happen, when everything starts pumping and your projects start pumping and you see your crypto wallet just, inflate, right? It goes up. You feel really good, right? It goes the same for green days. You got to be even keel. You can't really get too excited for either, right? Nor the losses, nor the wins. That just helps you make more solid choices and better decisions when you are investing with an even keel or with your emotions in check. It's like everything in life, right? If you make emotional choices, emotional decisions, it's likely that you're going to make decisions that are not very rational, right? Very rational. So for me, it's just important that you need to keep your emotions in check. That's something that I've always work on, and this is not only in crypto but in real life. That's a really good approach. So, and then finally, the third test, or the third thing that I learned from just the past this big red market that we're in over the last few months, is that there's always an opportunity, and right now is the time. This is a test. If you survive this downturn, you're going to survive for the next cycle and for the next cycle and so on and so forth. But you really have to be mindful that either one, you got to protect your assets, you got to protect your investments, and either move them around, or you have to just dollar cost average. Right now is the time to, I believe, and this is just my opinion, right now is the time to compound, right? To add to your position so that you can add at a very low price. It is likely that your project is a lot lower in terms of price than what it was just 2-3 months ago, or 5 months ago, or 6 months ago. So if you were caught buying at a higher price, right now is the time to average down, right? See it as an opportunity. And I'm not saying that everybody can do it, because it takes money obviously to DCA. But if you want to add a little bit, that's a mistake that a lot of people do. They want to invest, and then they just hope that their money by itself is going to grow when you don't, add to it. Think of it as an accelerated 401k, right? If you have a 401k and you're adding money to it every month or every paycheck, and it's just, compounding little by little, it's going up, and that's good, right? It's just slow. But if you do that, you can do that in crypto as well. If your positions are, if you bought at the bottom, and right now is a perfect time, I would say, to really add to your projects, because they're at a very low price compared to how they were just some time ago. So anyway, that's the third one. That's the third lesson that I've learned over the last, few months. And this is something, obviously, this is not the first bear market that I've been through. It's the second, actually. But to be honest, this is nothing like I've experienced before. But at the same time, I feel like I'm ready for this, right? So hopefully you guys are ready for this as well. Leave me your comments. Let me know what kind of topics you'd like me to cover. And it's just my opinion. This is just a conversation that I'm going to have with you guys. I'm always going to take a look at some of the charts and some of the things that are going on in the market. And then I'll bring up maybe some topics that I cover in my videos for you guys. But if you haven't, feel free to subscribe to this channel. I promise I'll post good stuff, and I'll make it worth your while. But again, I appreciate everybody that showed up today. I appreciate everybody that's been supporting the videos and supporting on X and all that good stuff. I appreciate the SHIB on Base community, the Bitcoin on Base community, and just the Base chain community as a whole. Shout out also to the young blue on Base community that's out there as well. So thank you guys for showing up. Thank you guys for the shared conversation. Definitely excited about where this channel is going, and I'm going to continue to stream for you guys so that we continue to make sense of this market and just have fun and make money. All right, guys, have a good one. Have a good evening. I'll talk to you soon.